critically analyze.
And critically analyse indeed. It's Grant Brindle here with the remainder of this half an hour with Media Moves, another access program here at PBA-FM 89.7. And Media Moves is brought to you by SAMI, the South Australian Association for Media Education Incorporated, which is a professional association of education people, industry people, community who are interested in the promotion of media education, media and information literacy. And as always, we've got to thank our sponsors, Valley View Secondary, up on Wright Road at Para Vista, and a special mention to the school this month because Valley View Secondary used to be Para Vista High School, and September 11th this year marks the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and one of the few Australians that actually died in the Twin Towers was Andrew Knox, who was a former student of a graduate of Para Vista High School, a very successful one who was successful at UniSA. There's a scholarship that they have named after him, and he had made it to New York to work, unfortunately. So 20 years, just to remember that, people still remember Andrew and his brother, Stuart. So thanks again to Valley View, and hopefully they're going to do something just to mark the occasion. Okay, we've got our rapid resident reviewer, who's also an ex-Para Vista High School student, Linda. She'll be giving us some reviews a little bit later. And we've got a few little segments from Media Watch, because there's a lot going on in the world at the moment, isn't there? There's the inquiry into media diversity that's happening, and you can catch all that on YouTube, and it's been interesting because Fox and Google or YouTube have sort of been having a go at each other because YouTube had suspended Fox News for a week and taken some of their things down over COVID, and of course Fox has also we've seen been having a little bit of a rough trot lately with an ongoing battle. Let's just have a listen to what I'm talking about.
The United States of America gave Rupert Murdoch a great deal, and he repaid it by doing a great deal of harm.
Fox and the big lie.
The secret that Trump knows is if you're going to lie, go big.
And the insiders who witnessed it.
I think they allowed the former president to dictate what news they put out.
It's bad for everything when you become an arm of a political party.
That's a pox on Fox.
Four Corners, Monday, ABC TV and iView.
And that's a little bit of controversy there. Four Corners ran 2 episodes coming straight off the back of their 60th anniversary episode. They had their sights squarely aimed at Fox News and the impact it had on both the 2016 and 2020 election results. It was the first, the 2-part series by Sarah Ferguson investigated how Fox Network promoted Donald Trump to a fault and helped, quote, to destabilise democracy in America. Ferguson, who lives in the USA, said that, another quote, "We've just seen the catastrophic consequence of what happens when a shared belief in truth and facts break down." Both episodes received backlash, as you'd expect from News Corporation titles, calling the episode conspiracy-laden and error-ridden. And articles criticising the episode have come from James Madden, Adam Creighton, Chris Kenny, Gerard Henderson and James Morrow. It didn't actually do particularly well. I mean, it got the second one got 885,000 viewers, which is up from 843,000 for part 1. However, meanwhile, over at the Voice was averaging 1.49 million, and the Block and its cheating scandal was getting 1.12 million. So it didn't rate that solidly, and of course there's some interesting discussion on whether how accurate the ABC was, because there are a few things that it leaves out. For example, that Trump actually turned against Fox when they started saying that he had lost various states. And we've said before on this program that there was a very good article by an academic who said that Murdoch doesn't actually have the power that people think he has. It's really because he has been very good at getting his media to align with the people that are going to be winning the election, and of course this is very true with Australia and Kevin Rudd, Kevin appeared at the media diversity inquiry and certainly has a big axe to grind as far as News Corporation goes, but we also remember that he was quite happy to have News Corp behind him when he first won the election, but when they were saying that he wasn't doing a good job, then of course he turned. So whether Murdoch really has the amount of influence, I tend to believe this academic that it's just really an illusion. But he is good at dishing up audiences what they want. But what it highlights is this ongoing feud between the ABC and News Corporation, and it comes from both sides. News Corp are often finding any excuse to have a shot at the ABC and the way government funding is being spent, and this looks very much like the ABC getting their own back. So watch this space. I'm sure it will continue. Now, while we're talking about the ABC, let's just have a listen to a couple of Media Watch episodes, and this is about journalism and female journalists, and Mulligan, of course, is one of the ABC's top journalists, but of course she's been into a little bit of strife lately.
ABC journalist Louise Milligan has agreed to pay federal Liberal MP Andrew Laming $79,000 over a series of tweets. Dr Laming alleged one of Ms Milligan's tweets defamed him by implying that he'd admitted taking an illegal photo of a woman's underwear. The federal court ruled in favour of Dr Laming and heard the matter has been settled.
Hello, I'm Janine Perrott, sitting in for Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. The ABC last week paid the price for one journalist's injudicious tweets and learned the high cost of never having to say you're sorry. Only 2 months on from the Christian Porter defamation case, which cost the ABC $780,000, Louise Milligan was back in the news. But this time it wasn't for a story published by the ABC. Instead, Andrew Laming was suing Milligan personally over comments on her social media. Or as the SMH reported,
over a series of 4 since-deleted tweets published on March 28 this year, including a tweet suggesting he had admitted to an offence under the criminal code, i.e. taking a photo of a woman's underwear under her skirt.
There is one aspect of this case which has caused considerable consternation outside and inside the ABC.
While the national broadcaster did not publish the tweets and was not sued by Dr Laming, it will cover Milligan's costs, citing particular and exceptional circumstances.
Prompting many, like Andrew Bolt for example, to ask the obvious question.
But what exceptional circumstances? What circumstance would require taxpayers to pay for legal costs that Milligan incurred all by herself in her own free time?
In the absence of any further explanation from the ABC, Bolt got Andrew Laming himself onto the show.
if Louise Milligan had apologised right off the bat, like other people did that you contacted, would the ABC now be on the hook for $79,000 plus legal costs?
I can probably answer that question, Andrew, by talking about a very gracious and immediate apology from, of all people, Senator Sarah Hanson-Young from the Australian Greens, who, when confronted with similar commentary that she made a month after the incident, apologised very graciously and put it online and solved the problems.
You'll note Laming didn't actually answer yes. So we don't really know if this costly saga could have been avoided if Milligan had simply apologised as requested in his lawyer's letter in early May. But certainly that's what Hanson-Young and some other big names did after police found Laming had no case to answer on the upskirting charge. They included journalist Darren Hinch, Labor Senator Murray Watt, and News Corp journalist Eliza Barr. On legal advice, Milligan deleted the offending tweets and tweeted a lengthy note correcting the record and noting that the woman was actually wearing shorts at the time. She also encouraged her 100,000 followers to read an ABC story about Laming being cleared of upskirting by the police. But sorry seemed to be the hardest word. Without that, it wasn't enough. 10 days later, Laming commenced legal proceedings against Milligan personally, which ended in last week's costly settlement for the broadcaster, which is galling for all us taxpayers and for ABC journalists who've been told to live with tighter budgets. As Communications Minister Paul Fletcher stated,
now the ABC has been exposed to a financial penalty on a scale that could have, for instance, funded the annual salary of an additional regional journalist.
The ABC says Milligan's tweets were published in good faith, which contained an honest error that has been widely reported by numerous other journalists and politicians. It's probably no coincidence then that 2 days before the Milligan settlement was announced, ABC Managing Director David Anderson sent an updated social media policy to staff, including this clear warning.
What is separately created and posted on personal social media accounts is editorially and legally the responsibility of the owner of the accounts.
So if that's the case now, was it not the case before? We asked the ABC to explain exactly what were the exceptional circumstances in this case and got this reply.
Given the nature of those circumstances, it would not be appropriate to make any further comment on this, except to say that the matter was not assessed in isolation. The circumstances required consideration of many factors, including complex legal issues.
One of those complex issues was the far bigger defamation battle involving the former Attorney General, Christian Porter. That case was unfolding at the very same time and involved the same tough lawyers, Rebecca Giles and Sue Chrysanthou, who represented both Porter and Laming. Hopefully we get some real answers about what took place when ABC boss David Anderson fronts Senate estimates in October. As for Milligan, the multi-award-winning Four Corners reporter, to many she is the crusading journalist who will never back down, much less say sorry. To critics, she's a journalist turned crusader, a law unto herself despite the repercussions. At the very least, I suggest she tones down the tweets which are not helping her cause, no matter how worthy she thinks it might be.
And that was from Media Watch. I was going to play another, but I don't think we've got time, more recent episode of Media Watch segment where they looked at what's going on in Afghanistan and the role of the media and the few, just a handful of females that are still trying to get the news out in quite difficult circumstances. And a little bit of a contrast, I suppose, to what journalists are facing here in Australia. OK, let's have a listen to our Rapid resident reviewer.
The Ice Road, starring Liam Neeson. A diamond mine collapses in Canada. An ice driver leads a rescue mission over frozen ocean to rescue the trapped miners. A very good film. 10 out of 10. Jungle Cruise, starring Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson. Lily gets the help of Frank to take her down the Amazon in his dilapidated old boat together with her brother. And all together they search for a tree that holds power to heal, an ancient tree. A very good film. 10 out of 10. Until next time, bye for now.
Join Linda every Thursday for Movie Music Morning for all the latest movies and DVD releases, feature artists of the week and reviews. Tune in at 9am for Linda, Movie Music Morning on your local community radio station, PBA-FM 89.7.
Oh, doctor, I'm in trouble.
Well, goodness gracious me.
For every time a certain man is standing next to me, a flash comes to my face and my pulse begins to race. It goes boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, 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 boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom.
Well, goodness gracious me. How often does this happen? When did the trouble start? You see, my stethoscope is bobbing to the throbbing of your heart.
What kind of man is he to create this allergy? It goes boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom, 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 boody, boom, boody, boom, boody, boom.
Well, goodness gracious me. From New Delhi to Darjeeling, I have done my share of healing, and I've never yet been beaten or outboxed. I remember that with one jab of my knee.
And you're listening to Media Moves here at PBA-FM. Now, if you're wondering what that piece of music, Peter Sellers and Sophia Loren, goodness gracious me, I don't know how well that would do these days. It's probably very politically incorrect. I don't know. Anyway, the reason for playing that is that today is, had he still been alive, Peter Sellers' birthday. He was born on this day on the 8th of September 1925. Of course, he was well known as an actor, also as one of the Goons. And in 1956, he had a number 9 UK single with the Goons, Ying Tong Song. And goodness gracious me was made it to number 4 in 1960. Also sharing a birthday on this day, Patsy Cline in 1932, country music singer. She died in 1963 at the height of her career in a plane crash. Ron McKernan, 1945, a founding member of the Grateful Dead. 1960, David Steele from the British band Fine Young Cannibals. In 1971, Martin Freeman, well known for his role in The Hobbit and Sherlock. And he's in one that's on the streaming, Breeders, I think it's called. And probably the best known one of all is 1979, Alicia Moore. And you might say, who's Alicia Moore? Well, if you're into Pink, you'll know that is in fact Pink, who's become one of the most successful artists of her generation, having sold over 110 million records worldwide. In 2003, on this day, Leni Riefenstahl, aged 101, died. And she was a dancer and an actress who became interested in film directing. Her movie, she made quite a few movies for Adolf Hitler, which sort of put the mockers on her career after the war. But Olympia showcased the 1936 Olympic Games and set a whole lot of trends for the way sporting events were covered and continue to be covered. And The Triumph of the Will is often called the greatest propaganda film of all time and was praised for its technical complexities. We should also acknowledge, a couple of days ago, the passing of Adelaide's own Philip Satchell, who was on the ABC radio for quite a long time, I think 30 years, and used to do the evening program. So I still I quite enjoyed Philip of an evening. He had an innocence about him. Quite a few people talked about the way when he was interviewing people, he had a pause that would let people want to fill the gap. Okay, let's continue on as time is running away.
Introducing VOZ, Australia's first truly national picture of total television viewing. Bringing broadcast viewing on TV sets and connected devices together in a single database. Crystallising Australia's total TV picture. Who is watching, what they're watching, the amount of time they spend watching, and the devices they're watching on. VOZ, transforming the way Australian television is measured and evaluated.
And yes, that's a new thing called VOZ, Virtual Oz. They've got a website, and you can go online to the VOZ, the Virtual Oz website. It's set up by OzTam, who are the official ratings people for free-to-air television. And what they've done is they've recognised what they call linear, which is people sitting down and watching the TV as it goes, and BVOD, which is broadcast video on demand. So that they're now being able to work out who's watching, perhaps on their mobile phone or on a laptop or a tablet, and who are streaming. So they're watching it at a later date. So they're crucially capturing viewers who consume across the weeks that follow a show's live premiere. So VOZ, this is according to CEO Doug Pfeiffer from OzTam, VOZ gives a true national picture of television as consumers have been moving around their different devices to watch TV. It's one-dimensional to look at just the linear side of these things these days. So it's quite interesting to see. The numbers, I had a quick look at it, and the numbers are still really heavily in favour of people watching linear or just sitting down and watching the telly. Congratulations to Ali Clark. She's back in the top of the radio charts here in Adelaide with ABC, and the trend of listeners turning over to AM, despite Adelaide not being substantially affected by lockdowns, continues. And the ABC was the biggest overall mover, rising 2.4 percentage points to 12.2%, and that's good for second. While AM 5AA was in third, but the number one station overall was Mix 102.3, and it's looks like it's time for me to depart. Hopefully, Phil and Tisha somewhere lurking, getting ready. I don't know, but we're going to finish with the Beatles. Hello, the door's open, and here he is. Oh, sure, here they both are. On this day, 1968, the Beatles were seen performing Hey Jude on UK television on the show Frost on Sunday in front of an invited audience. It was the first song, the first single from the Beatles record label of Apple Records, and over 7 minutes length. You probably won't get all of this. Over 7 minutes length, was the longest single, and spent 9 weeks as number one in the United States. So till next month, it's Grant Riddle saying goodbye.